In today's video, we're talking about the best metal albums of November. This is week number 4. I divided the video into chapters, so feel free to jump around to the band you want to hear about. With that being said, let me get right to the first album. So, first album is by the band Elder, and it's called Innate Passage. The label is Stickman Records, and this is a psychedelic rock or progressive rock or stoner rock band. This is their fifth album. A lot of other channels have been giving full reviews of this one, but I decided to keep it for this video. So it's an album with 5 songs. Each song is fairly long, 9 or 10 minutes long. The longest song is about 15 minutes. And just the album is just very complex and atmospheric. For me, it's like progressive metal. It has a very spacey and like dreamy feel. You know, sometimes the guitars are like droning, other times they're playing these like virtuoso style metal riffs. Other times they're playing like clean tones, arpeggios, or sometimes there's other stuff like jazz and some different things. And this album has like lots of like long instrumental passages. The songs have vocals, but they kind of seem to come in and out of the song. So as always, I chose 2 songs. The first one, Endless Return. This one I like a lot. It starts with some sci-fi sounds. Kind of makes you feel like you're floating in space when you listen to it. Then the song moves into a progressive rock feel with some repetitive clean guitar riffs and hard rock riffs. The song continues with these long progressive rock guitar riffs. They're just very complex and thought-provoking. And the song has lots of tempo changes and stylistic changes. You get this like nice thumping bass sound. You hear different layers of sound, and you hear some influence of like Dream Theater or Rush. The second song I chose was called The Purpose. This one sounds like an intro to a science fiction movie. You get these space-like sounds, soft guitar melodies. Then the song moves on with some like stoner doom style riffs and these atmospheric passages. So on this song you hear distorted guitars and the bass guitar comes up front at times, and the vocals come in about like 3 minutes into the song. The overall sound is very like dream-like and spacey. I don't keep repeating those words, but that's really what this album sounds like. You hear these different sounds like swirling around, and some parts are soft, some parts are heavy, some parts are like classic prog rock. It's a 9-minute song, so it has lots of like extended instrumental passages, and there are some vocals. So in conclusion, my final score is going to be a 7.5 out of 10. I think maybe other people liked it more than I do, but I thought it's a decent album, so that's my score. The next band is called League of Distortion, and it's a self-titled album. Released on Napalm Records. This is like a pop and metalcore kind of fusion band, something like that. This is, I believe, their first album. I couldn't really find a lot of info on them. But it's a very unique band. They mix pop music and heavy music. They use lots of electronics in their sound. They have a female vocalist, and she sings in both like this metal style and like a pop style. And you got lots of those like metalcore style riffs and heavy beats. So the first song I chose was called I'm a Bitch. This is the first single I heard. So at first I thought it's going to be a cover of that Meredith Brooks song from the 90s, but it's not. It's original. Like it starts with these like acoustic guitars and then like this pop beat. Then the vocals are a mix of like soft pop and hard and like heavy metal. The riffs have this heavy like deathcore style, and the song has lots of soft and hard sections. Goes back and forth between the soft pop section and the heavy riffs, and lots of metal riffs in between, and the song is just very catchy. The next one is called Hurt So Good. This one has heavy metalcore style riffs, mixed with pop vocals and electronics. There's some great metal vocal screams in here and some softer pop singing. This one goes back and forth between like the heavy and the light sounds. It's melodic, it's heavy, and it's catchy. So I thought this was pretty good. My final score is an 8 out of 10. Next band is called In the Woods. The album is called Diversum, and the label is Soul Cellar Records. This is hard to describe. I guess they call it avant-garde metal. For me, it sounds like metal death. The album number 6, and kind of hard to describe what's going on. It's atmospheric, it's dense, sometimes emotional with clean vocals, and sometimes heavier with the harsh vocals. I think that's the main point about this band. They use the combination of the clean and heavy vocals. And when they use heavy vocals, they do like the different styles. Sometimes they're more death, sometimes they're more black style, different variations of vocal, and lots of complex guitar riffs, unique drum patterns, and a lot of melodic harmonized guitars. That's another thing for this album. You get clean guitars, you get distorted guitars, and just lots of variations. So the first song I chose is called Moments. This one starts with a melodic guitar riff. The vocals are very clean and melodic. The guitars are distorted, and you get some like black metal style guitar riffs as well. They do that tremolo picking, and there's just a lot of melody. So this is one of the shorter songs. It has a great heavy metal guitar sound at the 3-minute mark, and some soft spoken word parts. And the vocals are mostly clean in the song. Now the next song I chose is called A Wonderful Crisis. Now this one starts off, you hear these like sound bites from a newscast. Then has this like haunting slow intro. Now, when they do the vocals on this one, it reminds me a lot of Pete Steele from Type O Negative. So, if the song kind of starts slow like a Type O Negative sound, but then it picks up and it gets very melodic. Now, this is one of the songs reminding me of like a Megadeth song. It's catchy, the vocals are powerful, there's so many layers of sound. They incorporate these futuristic keyboards in the mix that creates these cool sound textures. And then they got some black metal riffs in there, kind of gives it a darker feel. And towards the end of the song, it brings some harsh vocals and that contrast with the melodic vocals. A lot going on here. This is a really good album. My score 8.5. One more album. The band is Spirit World, and the album is called Deathwestern, released on Century Media Records. This is death and thrash. I would say more on the thrash metal side, but like a very heavy thrash. This is album number 2. So this is basically thrash and death, but with like a Western theme. So this album starts with like this short instrumental. It kind of sounds like a classic, like a outlaw country song, but once like the album kicks in, it's just thrash, right at the thrash, heavy songs. This reminds me a lot of like the band Power Trip. Vocals are very aggressive and very brutal. The songs are fast paced, and just the drums very fast and heavy. So first song I chose was called, it's either Ulcer or Ulcer, the way it's spelled. And I like this one. It has a slow intro, kind of like a Metallica Sad But True kind of riff. Then it gets fast and heavy. You got chugging riffs, lots of high-pitched guitar squeals. You're going to hear a lot on this album. You got a little short bass interlude, so the bass is right there. It's not non-existent. And it's just lots of heavy guitar riffs. I hear a classic Slayer influence here as well, and just very heavy and thrashy. My second song is called Moonlit Torture. This one is more the chugging riffs. More of like a death metal sound, I think, but I also hear that old school Slayer influence. You get brutal blast beats, some old school thrash guitars, lots of machine gun riffing, some spoken word sound samples, and then lots of guitar squeals and blazing guitar solos. So this is a really good one, maybe the best of the video. Final score, 8.5 out of 10. That is all. So I will be continuing this through December for at least the first 2, maybe 3 weeks. And I got top 50 albums coming up next month and lots of stuff. So that's all. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.